Seemingly Glamorous Lives.
Seemingly Glamorous Lives.
Now say it all together.
Nope, you got it.
Welcome to Model Behavior, where we explore behind the scenes of a grace of seemingly glamorous lives. Here with me, I'm staring right into the beautiful eyes of A-Rod. You want to give him your real name?
Yes, not my stage name. Andrew Rodriguez. Andrew Michael Rodriguez III, actually.
Who, despite his beautiful eyes I'm staring into, is a hand model!
Yes.
We got one.
Here I am. And, I'm actually a little bit embarrassed because I like to typically keep my money makers a bit more presentation ready, but this seems, auditory, so I guess it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. Also, I'm just going to, so that you don't freak out, I realized I need to look at the time on it, so I just turned it this way. We're good. So, I found out, funny enough, I texted our agent. So, A-Rod and I are both represented by the same commercial agent in Atlanta. In fact, that's how we met each other.
Indeed.
A-Rod used to be my commercial agent.
Indeed.
And now he's doing full-time actor model work. And I texted our agent and said, do we know any hand models? Because that was just fascinating for me to have on the show. And he wrote back like I was an idiot and said, A-Rod is a hand model. And I thought he was joking because A-Rod had been posting these like funny snaps for a year of him, like his hands doing stuff. And I thought he was just being quirky.
Right. Those were real. I was being quirky, but any of those like job postings that I was doing, that was like the joke was that my hands were booking work and that I was not.
Yeah,
so.
And I didn't get like the fundamental part. And he's very funny. So this goes to show you how funny A-Rod is.
Just throwing that out.
I didn't even need to know the point of the snaps to be like, these are delightful.
Right.
And I think my old roommate Kayla actually mentioned something about like A-Rod's hand modeling things, and I thought she like just didn't understand.
Oh, right.
I thought she didn't get it.
Thought she just didn't understand how things work. And right. Yeah. Well, what's funny is I get a lot of harassment from everyone across all ends of the spectrum within the industry, like from the photographer on set to the whole crew, everyone the whole day on any hand modeling project. I have to be careful. Everyone's coming up, hey, so how about, is this your first hand job? And I'm like, great, yes, yes, wonderful.
Fresh material.
Yeah. Like, hey, do you have like a reel, like a reel of all the work that you've done? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm like, yeah, you probably should put one of those together. You'd probably get more hand jobs. Great, okay, let's continue working.
But if you did have a reel of hand jobs, where could they find those? Plug all your social media.
A reel of hand jobs. Yes, I guess it'd probably be on my social media or on my casting site, like where my other commercial work would be listed.
Where they could find at?
They could find 800 casting, I don't know. Or am I supposed to throw out specifics?
If you want. You can give them your Instagram, your Snapchat, wherever you want more traffic.
Oh, no, I don't really care about traffic.
So I have so many questions, especially having just come to discover that my friend I've known for a couple of years now has been a hand model for like a full year.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just a joke.
No, I've been so last year was the first year, I guess, it was like full-on hand model work because I did only hand modeling work up until November when I finally like booked something else, and that was just like by a fluke where they just needed one more person and the client picked me. Yeah. So like the whole rest of the year, my bread and butter was hand modeling work, like for Chick-fil-A, for like Holiday Inn Express.
These are huge names.
Which is the first one that I did was really, really cool, but I don't think the client was directly Rolex, but we got to like shoot with a Rolex and stuff. And that one I just kind of BS'd my way into. Like,
and these were pictures of your hands on the products, or this was like video, like you see
video,
some dude
it's like a full-on, it was all day in a studio. Like I wore the suit that I wore to my best friend's wedding. And like wardrobe's like, do you have any blazer options? I'm like, sure, what about this? Just like at least the top.
Yeah.
And it was all day in this like light studio area, just these cameras up as close as they can be to the watch, like to make sure they can capture every detail and all that. We shot a full-on like instructional video on how to set it and how to go through everything. So we were in there for hours, and I'm like sweating bullets, but it was awesome. And I really thought, because it was my first time doing it, and I was like, I'm going to be so nervous, like I'm going to be shaking and freaking out. But everyone was just really cool, and it was just such a small group of us that it was like a lot more comfortable than I thought I would be. So there was like no nervous shakes or anything.
Before we move on, I'm sorry, I forgot something very important that I should have done at the beginning. Close your eyes. So it was A-Rod's birthday 2 days ago, yes?
Oh, yeah.
And
I think so.
I
Today?
have a present for you. And just
Okay.
keep your eyes closed until I tell you you can open them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, open them.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. What is this?
What does it look like?
It looks like a fancy, well, I don't want to say the wrong word. I would like to say geode. But I want to say rock, for lack of knowledge of anything.
I got him a big old hand-sized jade crystal.
That's what I said, jade
just
crystal.
Seemed to me like something a hand model would want.
This is actually good. I can get some shots holding this.
I don't know how I never asked you why weren't you hand modeling when we first met. How did
That's
I
not typically
see
something that comes up. And
we've held so many drinks together.
Yeah, but no one would even notice. And the only reason it works out is because I don't have like the typical man hands where it's like, I've done hard work to where they're calloused and stuff.
Yeah.
Or like muscular in ways.
Yeah.
All I do is like send emails back and forth, so I don't have like working man hands, so it's not like I'm advertising for like Ford trucks or whatever. It's like, no, here, hold something that we can market across all boards, like nothing too hairy, nothing too tan, nothing too
white collar hands, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I've got white collar hands with an ethnically ambiguous appearance to them in certain ways.
Wow.
So
okay, so let's go full circle then. So seeing as you just like keep a deep type at the computer, so when you first got your hand modeling gigs, that was when you were still an agent, right? Or was that right after? So again, because now what's funny is now I've come to realize a second thing. The hand modeling auditions I've been receiving in my inbox like weekly are real. And like I didn't quite and I knew they were real, but I thought they were just like random gigs or agents were like trying on for size. But no, they have like they have hand model clients that are going to them specifically for many, many hand models. Mm-hmm. But like I feel so awkward sending things out because what do I do? I talked to one of my agents about like, so is there like a certain background that you want, or like how do I stage this? And they were like, we don't know. Like just send pictures.
There wasn't any specific instruction. It was just like the left and right hand, front and back, well lit photo. Yeah. So it's like there was like a whole folder of people submitted photographs of hands.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, say there's 50 people total. Out of those 50, maybe like 20 people actually had photos that were of decent quality. It wasn't just like a cell phone like picture on the fly, like pixelated and blurry. And it's like, what the hell was that? Like they want to see what you're like. If you're trying to sell your hands, you want to make them look good. Yeah. It's just like if you're taking like a crappy headshot or something. If they're like, hey, we need a recent selfie, you're not going to be like, I mean, you could, but then they're like, oh, we don't think. We went in a different direction. So, I just wanted to make sure that my pictures like looked like they were well lit and like ready to go. Like some people actually have straight up like previous work they've done like with a specific product like that's been in a print campaign. So it's like a full modeling portfolio, but just hands. It's just hands, but it's kind of it wasn't like super effective or like super efficient when I was kind of getting involved in it. It was like still pretty low key, so it wasn't like there was like a specific database for it. It was just like a share file folder. And we have a huge commercial agent, so I can imagine it's like relatively like a new wave clientele in Atlanta, period. Because I can't imagine that like other big agencies like ours had been doing this, religiously for a while. I can imagine it's just kind of like a new wave supply and demand need for our market. A lot of people assume, like, when I go to a job and it's like for a hand modeling gig, a lot of people just think that's all that I do. Yeah. And like, so it's just like, so what, you're like a hand model? Do you keep your hand in one of those cases like in Zoolander?
I was going to ask.
I don't. I wear gloves though if I'm going to do any like type of manual labor that could damage them, just because first of all I don't want to hurt my hands. Second of all, I don't want to damage my money makers. Yeah. So do you wear gloves like understanding there's a booking coming up, or now that you know that like your name is like you have a modeling portfolio for hands and that you might very well be getting more? And I still I'm still quite clumsy. I still skateboard and I still do, outdoor activities. And most of the time my hands are pretty scratched up, or there's like a tiny scar or two that I'm kind of going through. Right now there happens to be one on this knuckle, but I haven't had any recent situations. And I do actually have cover-up now. That's like a similar skin tone for when I get scars and stuff, but specifically because I had a pretty gnarly burn like on the back of my hand for a couple months after Dragon Con. So I had to get something to cover that up just in case.
What happened at Dragon Con?
I allegedly fell down the escalator, but I don't know how that would have burned my hand, so it's still a mystery.
Wow.
Point is, I was a little bit nervous, like, what happens now?
What was your costume?
I was Logan from Wolverine.
So Wolverine fell down the escalator.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, I tried to play it off, and my buddy Zach was like, yeah, there were a lot of people staring, so we just kind of left. Like everybody saw. And I was like, well, they shouldn't have the stairs move if there's intoxicated people around. But I digress. After that, though, I got some cover up, and I've used it exactly 1.5 times.
How did you learn about the hand cover ups? Is that something you figured out on your own, or did you?
I was dating a makeup artist at the time.
That's helpful.
She had some stuff I think the brand was FX or something, and then I ended up going to Ultra and got some assistance. Thanks. Went to Ultra. It was I think it was an Avengers movie.
I think it's what is that movie where the cars come to life? Transformers.
I was gonna say Maximum Overdrive, but call me old school. They just
gave you new hands. That's what they did at Ultra.
Yeah. No. So I went in there, and then the guy was like, what are you looking for? I was like, just some cover up for my hands. He's like, what the hell? I was like, yeah, my girlfriend told me about it. And he's like, okay, your girlfriend? I'm like, it's for hand modeling, dude. Just take it easy. Okay, I promise. I don't even know the name of this damn store. Just get me in and out. But we eventually found some stuff that worked.
Did you ever have you found yourself Googling hand modeling and maintaining hand modeling presentation, or how to get more gigs? Where is this taking you? Because I understand, I can imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, I can imagine at the time, before we were used to these emails coming through, you got that first email from one of your dudes, or maybe Alex in your office turned you and was like, yo, we have this hand modeling thing. Somebody, but the point is, you got the breakdown that said, take your photos, high quality light, etc., whatever it said.
Right.
And then you just got an email that said you booked it, and you were like, excuse you?
No. So the hands, the hand photo portfolio is already part of the database. So when someone says we're looking for some hand models, we're looking for male, age 30 to 40. So it's all right, that cuts out the whole female group, that cuts out any kids, it cuts out the older guys, and it's okay, here's the people whose hands, 30s, 40s, man hands, boom. And then, that's that. So, essentially, I was working on a project where they're looking for a person's hands, and this is the one time it happened, and I regret nothing. One time it happened, but they're looking for people's hands, this to this, boom, here you go, and within that category, they're like, oh, this Andrew Rodriguez hands, I like those the most, actually. We'd like to use him. I was like, okay, that's actually me. And they're like, okay, well, then we'd like to use your hands. And I was like, okay, well, then we're going to have someone else handle this project from here on out.
Handle.
But, cool. Handle. Yeah. But I was like, okay. But after that, it was if you're ever on a project, don't submit yourself whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But that one, the reason I don't regret it at all is because that was the first ever hand modeling gig that I had done.
Well, and they found you, essentially, within the database.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's I wasn't like, hey, you should definitely check out this guy.
These hands.
It was just right. Make that folder the largest, bold, just John
or filter all the other
thing.
Photos
right,
so it looks like poor quality.
Just make them all, invalid files. What do you mean the .ptxd file didn't open?
Or they're all too big.
Right.
Why are they all too large?
But no, so
just don't follow directions.
Right. That was the one that was for. It didn't even like pay a whole lot. And with hand modeling, they can literally pay you an extra rate. Like for a SAG job, they can pay you the rate of an extra and use that spot in perpetuity because you're unrecognizable.
Right, exactly, because you're not seeing your face. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so sometimes non-union jobs pay a lot more because they're just paying for the usage, and they're like, sure, we're going to use this, it'll be distributed here, 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 and here.
Yeah.
But like with SAG, they're like, oh, we can technically do this. However, some SAG jobs, like I've got substantial, like one of the larger commercial checks I got was from Holiday Inn one for the Cinnabon, because that was a 2-day shoot.
Nice.
And that was when I was snapping like crazy, like the hand story. And legit, I got tired of it. Like day 2, I'm like, Jesus, I used like 10 good jokes yesterday morning, and there's like 5 shitty ones for the rest of the evening, and sprinkled in a couple of BS shots. I'm like, now I'm on day 2. And I'm like, damn it, I gotta keep it going because I'm still working this gig. Like,
well, after a while, it turned into just a love story between the 2 hands.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like,
they're besties.
It became more of a drama than anything else. Eventually,
I think that's the natural direction for it to go. So I mean, they still get along just fine. I think this guy, Mr. Wright, I think he needs a much better name. He needs to be much more creative.
Okay, I was gonna ask, do you have real names for your hands now?
Yeah, this is Lou, separate? And she's real chill. She's real timid.
I remember this.
Yeah, Lou. She's the left naturally.
Lou, yeah.
She's a little bit more timid, but at the same time, she's like less coordinated, but also a lot more chill when it comes to like nervousness and stuff. Like legit, the right hand will start to shake if it's like getting too nervous, and then legit disappears. In comes Lou, and she's just steady as an ox.
Is there any Oxy-Lou? That's what they call her.
'Cause, oxen are steady.
Is there? So are these observations? So I'm fascinated for many reasons. Number one, all these observations you've made about your hands. Do you think you ever would have made any of these observations about your hand had you not been making money off of them?
No, there would not have been a reason to observe my hands beyond just like legit. When I was hired for the first job, I was like, really? Because my hairs are kind of asymmetrical on my knuckles. Like, do they even care about that? But I realized it's not like they're taking mugshot photographs of your hand. It's going to be held in a natural way most of the time. Certain angles won't even really portray, but no one's made a comment on it, and I don't typically try to advertise, but like the hair on my index fingers only grows on the inner portion.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
On both fingers. It's very strange. Yeah, again, I apologize that they're not presentation ready,
But they are symmetrical.
Yeah, that's what I'm all about. Keeping it symmetrical.
One of the reasons that I've been like the only time I've ever really felt like a shitty client ever is in regard to these hand modeling auditions, because I've definitely declined more than I've accepted, for the only reason being that I'm like, I think my hands are they're not perfect, because I have this idea in my head that hand models are like Zoolander, like they're perfect. I have hangnails and, like all kinds of
I think a lot of people have that mentality. I think that a lot of people assume that if you're a hand model, that's all, because all I know about hand modeling, all I had known was from what I've seen in Zoolander and from Seinfeld when George became a hand model and it was like ruined in that same instant.
Or the occasional article or YouTube video about the person who really, this is what they do, and so it's like their whole world is, like one article, this woman has a whole family and she's playing with the kids or cooking, what have you, they're always in gloves and they are always being moisturized, and it's a whole thing. It's
I can
job.
see that, but since it's like I've been pushing to just be a commercial actor in general, to me, hand modeling was just another form of print work.
Yeah.
Where just my face wasn't involved. It was just simple actions that need to be executed by someone who kind of knows what to do on set, and that was just what it was to me. Was just okay, show up, do what the client wants, go home, and it didn't really have anything to do with it, being specifically to my hands. I was just like, it's whatever. If they were looking for a foot model, I might be like, I don't think I have pretty feet, I mean, I'll stick with the hands. That's already enough of a it's I can ride a unicycle. What other non-impressive skill do I need right now? But
I have to ask though, so obviously we've had a number of models on the show. Most of them have been printout models. And we had one fit model, you know, we have a plus size model coming on. We had one runway bikini model, but you are the only hand model I can even find that has done. Yeah. So
What's crazy is, according to the agency, I'm one of the ones that books more frequently than others as well.
Well, the fact that you did this like nonstop for a year blows my mind. Like it was just booking after booking and hand modeling for huge companies.
Yeah, it started off with I think Husky Hand Tools was the first one of the year. I guess I could just say Husky Tools, I don't know. But the point is, it was like advertised all over the place, left and right. And for that one, it was just a shot on the actual equipment. My hand comes in and hangs a hammer and then comes out of frame. And I had legit practice doing that. Because, I mean, just to prepare for whatever, I was just like, I think I'm probably going to be using tools. Let me just see if I can execute that in a smooth action.
Yeah.
Imagine what it would look like on camera. Like, I'm not going to flail around or do anything too crazy. And because honestly, they're just going to tell you what to do, and then you try to do it from there a little bit. Okay, try it this way, try it this way, try it like this. Okay, go a little slower. Okay, go a little faster. Okay, this time move up frame. Okay, this time move that way. So you just have to be able to handle infinity takes because they don't really know what they want until they see it. So.
Well, what that kind of reminds me of is if you've ever been on one of those commercial shoots where they give you wild lines. So they just like keep throwing different lines at you, or the same one they randomly threw in on that shoot and have you do it in like 15 different ways because they don't know what they want.
Oh.
So they're like, all right, so the wild line is go get him. You're like, go get him. They're like, okay, now say go get him. Go get him. And you just do it in a million ways until they finally like, we don't know what we're doing, but we have time. And in editing, they just like pick the one they want. It kind of sounds like at least a similar process of like, all right, now do it this way, do that, do this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 100% like that, and that's why I just hope, because I mean, there's so much other stuff going on. Like I'm not the principal, and I need to like keep that in mind. Like I'm not there. They're not there to cater to my needs. I'm there to give the client what they need, and then like speed up the process because they're doing a whole lot of other shots on whatever product it is. They're doing their own. Like you just come in to do your part of that whole project, not like. You're not going to be in it the whole time.
Yeah.
For the Holiday Inn one, I was legit there the entire day, and then it didn't even have me come in until like the last 45 minutes of shooting and stuff, and it was just to kind of set a plate down and then take my hand out. And it was just, again, a variation of like speeds, consistencies of syrup on pancakes and different things.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to see like the makeup artists for food and stuff that are there, like just to make sure everything like looks spot on, and it's like just to see them decorate things and all that. So it's like really whatever the product is like the principal, and I'm there to help tell the story.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, there is a job. I believe it is the food artist, right?
Oh yeah.
It's their whole job to like fluff up the bread on the burgers
and make the Cinnabon look more cinnamony.
There's a whole job for that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So when you got started, though, I can imagine when you booked the thing, because I understand, like, it's the process of you received, the drop in the inbox, you had, your photos of your hands, and it just so happened they were like, cool, it's you, be on set at this time, this is what the pay looks like. Did you have a million questions about, like, okay, so when I get on set, because I know for me, like, when I get on set, I need to know, like, I did a skincare product at one point and had to ask, do you want me to shave my arms? Like, do you want me to moisturize? Do you want, like, what do I need to come prepped as? This is, I never think about, like, hands going on any set.
Right.
So did you have a million questions, and was anybody able to give you answers to those questions?
I had so many questions, and...
Like, do I shave the hair on my fingers?
I know for a fact I've got some very hairy arms, but I also know for a fact that my arms were not featured in the pictures that they received because I'm not trying to unsell myself, and I would assume that if they needed my arms to be less hairy, then they would mention it, and I would just bring clippers just in case. Who knows? I don't know. But luckily, the wardrobe was long sleeves, and I was like, boom, because they wanted me to wear a jacket. So once they asked me the wardrobe selections, or once they asked me to provide some, I realized, okay, then my arms will be, covered at least, so that probably won't be an issue whatsoever. They requested that I go get a manicure just to get it, like, cleaned professionally and all that.
Did they cover it?
Yeah, they reimbursed.
Good.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
On every...
Keep note of that, guys. Like, if a client ever has you required to do something that costs money, they should absolutely reimburse.
Yes, there should definitely be client reimbursement if you need to spend something out of your own pocket there. In fact, I forgot to validate my parking when I went to the fitting for the Wolf Creek Shoot.
No!
$4 gone. I'm so upset.
We ran into each other in the lunch line at this indoor water park shoot. And then somehow, not only did we not know that each other were going to be on the shoot, and I had been shooting all morning on the same ride over and over and over again. We ran into each other in line, and I expected for sure I'd be seeing him for the rest of the day that we didn't cross paths again.
I did not see Aviva again the entire day.
The only thing I can imagine
I was excited to see you again. I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to run into her in just a sec. I'm totally going to catch up with her.
Gone. Just gone.
Busy.
Is it possible that after lunch, I was in the indoor, look at the theme parky stuff. But at the beginning, I was in the water park section. Were you in the water park section?
I did all my water park stuff on a different day, actually.
Then where the fuck were you?
Okay, when you mentioned a moment ago the commercials where they give you the lines, just go for it. Just go for it. Do it this way. It was like a set script I had to go through. It's just like telling a story with shadow puppets.
Yeah.
So essentially, oh god, it was very it was a test of my patience for sure. Because not only did I have to learn these shadow puppets, once I booked it, they're like, okay, we want you to be the shadow puppet dad. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna tell a story. So they sent me to the Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta to go learn shadow puppetry for an hour the day before the shoot as part of a rehearsal.
Damn.
Plan. Yeah.
They really got it.
They really, yeah.
These commercials are 15 seconds long.
yeah, 15 seconds, maybe a minute because of how much stuff we shot. We'll see what the usage will be. I don't know, but they sent me to this puppeteer. He showed me some things, and then he was also on set the next day to step in for some specific close-ups. They were just using me for the wide angle. They could tell it was me, and I'm making bunny rabbits and telling a story. And I read the same little story infinity times. I have no idea, but they wanted me to keep changing it up. Okay, now do it and I don't know where these guys are from. Do more deep voice, like a movie voice, like a movie guy's voice, in the woods. I'm okay, in a forest far, far away. And they're yes, make it ominous, yes. And I'm okay, so I'm trying to frighten these children, what's going on? I don't know. So I just kind of went for it, and then they're okay, now do this, now just keep going at the end of the story, keep going. And I'm what? They're just keep going. And I was they legit gave me a 4 to 5 stanza epic poem, whatever the hell you want to call this, a story of a little bunny rabbit that goes exploring and then gets picked up and flies over some wolves, picked up by a hawk or something, and flies over some wolves and gets dropped on a water slide. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it. Maybe I signed an NDA. Point is, they were okay, now just keep going. And it's that's what the audition was. We're okay, you're going to improv a shadow puppet story. Just go ahead and go. And it's what? That was essentially the preparation. It was you're going to tell a shadow puppet story. So then when you go into the audition, okay, so, do this, smile, this way, that way, tell us your name. Now tell us a story of shadow puppets, go. And it's what the hell's going on? So it's the audition was like that, the callback was like that, and then with the shoot, they're here are your lines. But then a couple times, yeah, just keep on making stuff up. Okay, now put in the alligator. And I'm okay, make my hands into an alligator. So this was, for the first time, it was kind of hand modeling coming together with
I was just gonna
actual commercial modeling stuff. There were no close-ups of my hands, but it was definitely a test of new skills that I had learned the day before and practiced the entire night.
Yeah.
Because I had to be able to execute these while also doing the deep voice to tell the story, and then I was over it when they just had me in the room, just in the tent for my single shots. Then they brought in the family, and it was I had to keep these 2 little kids entertained with the same bullshit story infinity times for hours. So it's by the time we're on our 4th camera angle, I'm in a forest far, far. I'm yeah, far away. And I'm cool, guys, let's stay focused. If we could take lunch break after this, if we just get through this, and I'll try to make it fun. Make sure the bunny gets eaten by a T-Rex. I'm I didn't learn the T-Rex hand puppets. Let's go through this, kids. I don't know what's happening.
I want more.
Right. Yeah, so there was a couple times there that I got to just improvise, and I just made it seem kind of the bunny had escaped intentionally, and she was on vacation, living her best life or something like that. And I don't know. There's she broke up with the crocodile, and I don't know where the hell the story went. But by the end of
love stories between your 2 hands.
It was just it has to be done. They've been best friends for life. But at the end of it, they started clapping after like my little improv, whatever the hell. I was like, damn, that was really an intense story. Like, you had us all on the edge. Like, we didn't know where you were going. I was like, I didn't know where I was going. I was like, please, somebody say cut. Like, please. Like, I don't even know what's happening. I'm so embarrassed right now. Everyone's watching me. The client's listening. I'm mic'd. There's like people in another room with headphones on. I can't even see them. Like,
you gotta wonder like what the client is doing.
Cut, right?
Yeah. Like, there's no way they were like, we're gonna use all of this.
That's what I'm like, when you make me do it 1,000 times, am I doing my job that poorly? Like, I don't know, or are you just looking for a huge array of options that you're going to use? Or do you want me to do it kind of more specifically in a certain way, but I just didn't have the right inflection, so I'm like, I'm just going to keep changing it up in slight ways and try to keep it consistent in other ways.
Burn time until lunch, yeah. Sometimes cool,
let's just hit overtime. How many takes you guys want? I'm here all day. I don't do any other stuff.
What you gotta do, guys. I had two teenage girls. I had to pretend to be the mama, but when we started playing Never Have I Ever, and all their questions, they kicked the shit out of me because all their questions were like, never have I kissed a boy. And I was like, God damn it. Like, using age against me, but not, like, they were real subtle. I was impressed.
Right,
because some would be like, never have I ever been an adult. Ha ha. But nah, these girls, endless mine of material for them. I went down.
That's one game I'm like, I don't want to play this. This just it always gets too personal too quick. It was funny because there was a debaucherous party gathering back in the college days. So I wasn't debaucherous, but yeah. So we're like all hanging out. But there was a girl there whom I used to date, and like it didn't really work out. We weren't official or anything. It was cool. And then there was a new person that I was interested in there, and she saw that I liked this other girl, and then she like crafted her way into like being her best friend throughout the night. And then once everyone was a little bit intoxicated, she's like, let's play Never Have I Ever. And she's like staring at me, and I was like, what? And the other girl's like, yeah, let's play. And I was like, what are you just gonna like put like air out everyone's dirty laundry right now? And it wasn't even like it got too debaucherous, but at one point she's like, never have I ever had a crush on A-Rod. And then like stared at me, looked at her, and then like the girl's like, oh, I guess I have to drink. And then she's like, oh, I guess I have to drink too. And then they like looked at each other and like, and so hey, can I talk to you outside? And then they legit left and went to talk to each other outside. I was like, well, she won this one. Like, I'm out. I'm now the scum of the earth. I'm a total piece of S.
And a hand model was born.
And that's when I was like, I'm coming back to be a hand model. They'll see. They'll see.
I'll see.
What's funny is actually, to this day, I'm still friends with the one who was carefully crafting her way.
Really?
Yeah, she and I are actually very good friends.
Cool.
Yeah.
So she'll love that story.
Yeah.
Like, for those, she sounds like she must have a good sense of humor, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because she even, like, looks back at it, she's like, yeah, that was a pretty shitty move, I'm sorry, but it's like...
But she won, though.
Oh, she totally won. It was great. Like, now I look back and I'm like, yeah, that was... You win.
Maniacal.
I mean, we're still friends. It was maniacal, and I actually... That's something that is deserving of being on television. That was pretty crafty. I could not have pulled that off, you know?
Okay, so speaking of pulling shit off, listen, I have like a very, well, actually, it's sort of, I understand the dichotomy of the question. Ew, it's getting juicy. So my first question is, because there are so few hand models, because it seems to me like anytime you ever see a commercial or a print ad holding anything, whether it's a watch or a sandwich or what have you, like those are hand models. Have you considered, I know acting is your number one love and he's very, very talented, but as far as like a side hustle is concerned, have you even considered, let alone been tempted to pursue hand modeling with, different agencies in different regions, or, to really tackle it as like a hard side hustle? Because there aren't a whole lot of people that A, know it even exists, and B, like, are eligible for it,
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there's so much work. I can imagine supply and demand for a hand model is probably...
I hadn't even considered that, so I guess I'll look into it, especially with, like, I'm actually at the point now where I need to have a separate resume for my hand modeling work, because it's silly to put it on my acting resume, first of all, and second of all, it's like
it's immense.
The number, it's like listing my industrials.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's just like a bunch of random things that they came across, like, okay, how about this person? Boom, done. Here I am.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
But then I guess my other question for that is, I would understand if you looked into it and said, even with the high quantity of jobs I could book, like many of them don't pay much, so it's not worth it. Like, is there a way that you can stack the deck in your favor to like go after those gigs that would pay you more respectfully? or is it predominantly, like an extra pay gig that you would expect?
I don't think it's necessarily extra pay. That's just if the production team, I guess, would like it to go that route, they absolutely may.
Yeah.
However, they typically don't. So I don't think it's like ever necessarily stacked against with the lesser amount of pay. It's just essentially you're looking at like $500 to $1,000, like a regular commercial type shoot, like either speaking or non-speaking.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at about $500 to $1,000 for just little print ads and things here and there, because again, they don't have to specifically pay for your likeness.
Yeah.
Plus, it's perpetuity if they want to continue to use it. So
the perpetuity is
they get to continue using your likeness for infinity, until forever. Yeah, until forever, which is not something you like to have happen in the commercial world.
But here's what's cool about what you're telling me, though, is that if you're getting paid for perpetuity and hand modeling because you're not recognizable, I don't know does that
it's not a big deal.
Threaten other jobs? Because I mean, for example, like I had booked a Burger King commercial, and and granted,
conflict.
Well, that's what's so funny. So, like, the commercial it's not airing, so I don't think that it qualifies as a conflict right now if I were to audition for, say, McDonald's. But to even have it on the resume, I always take it off. Right. Because they might see it. They might not, A, do the research to see that it's not airing, or B, not care. They'd be like, well, we can't have her on there because
they'll
they
just
recognize
assume that you're with the other brand as well.
Exactly, with the rival brand. But if you're not recognizable
that
and
is
you
a
get
huge
paid
benefit.
For perpetuity,
right.
Doesn't matter. Or would Chick-fil-A be like, we can't have the hands on our sandwiches, the same hands that were on.
No, absolutely not.
What other KFC?
right. Yeah, like
over my dead body. You're going to touch our chicken.
Body. You get your filthy KFC hands away from my perfect sandwich.
But for real though, would that make you nervous to put that on your resume if you were? That's a great analogy.
No, I don't think so. Not with hand modeling whatsoever, because with the non-recognizability, is that a term?
Good enough.
With the fact that you're not recognizable, it doesn't matter. There are no conflicts at all. So you can work Burger King one day, KFC the next, and then Chick-fil-A the next day, as long as it's on a Sunday when they're actually closed, so you could utilize their facilities for shooting.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, hand modeling is like a subcategory of parts modeling, which is you can be an eye model, you can be, any kind of part that you see that could be marketed away from the...
I didn't know that. I think I'm missing out on some money right now.
Dude, for where you are, just Google parts modeling agencies. There's a lot...
pretty solid fork in my eyebrow that I think could be marketable for, like, bad boy stuff.
It is cool looking, though. You're right.
But they called me Broke Eye in high school. Because my eye was broke, and I guess they were just like lazy enough to make it Broke Eye. And it sounds like I'm saying broke guy, and it's like, should I even claim that nickname anymore at this point in my life? Like, it's not making me richer. So maybe I could make a different nickname for myself. Wealthy Eye.
Wealthy Eye. But no, I've been mad because I'm telling y'all already know this from the podcast where I got interviewed, but like every other day, if not every day, somebody compliments me on my eyes, which would be great if I were making any kind
real?
of... I get that a lot too, yeah. Are you asking me for real?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No, because they are pretty effing intense.
For a long time, that question really confused me because I was like, "What the fuck do you mean? Are my eyes real?" But I get it.
People do like contacts and different things, and like when eyes are like yours, oftentimes it's not as natural.
Now you would think that I would like really enjoy all these compliments, but if anything, it pisses me off because it reminds me I'm not making any monetary value off of them, and I get compliments every day. Like I've Googled. That's how I do all this shit I'm telling you about parts modeling.
I literally knew nothing about this.
I've Googled parts modeling eyes, and I think I found a couple to submit to. I'll find those for you.
Yeah,
I didn't hear anything back, but again, it's like, how do I even? I think I took a couple photos, and it was weird because it was like each eye got a. I don't know, dude. But I'm like, I could be doing glasses.
Yeah,
I could be
definitely.
doing contacts. I could be doing eyeshadow palettes, what have you. And I'm so mad that none of my agents have found a way to make money off of it.
Okay.
Let's do this together.
Here's the thing. The agent's job. I get it. Like, a lot of people watch Entourage, and they're thinking like, I need my own Ari Gold, like squeezing the stress ball, shouting at people, trying to find me work that he ultimately doesn't care about, but I'm making money, let's go. That's not how, well, here's the deal. They're not out there hunting down work for people because there's already work pouring in to where they're just trying to help find the right people.
Yeah, to filter and sift.
To fill these roles that are coming to the agency. People like, we're looking for this, to where they don't have time to outwardly search for more work for the, for that specific person.
No, I love that you just explained that.
2.5 years that I worked there, I never once saw any request for like an eye model. To be honest. Like, that's why I didn't know that parts model existed, because it was all just hand modeling things, maybe like one or two they're looking for like specifically fit people, or like people with like, I don't know, symmetrical feet for sandals or something like that. But it was never anything too far beyond like, the spectrum of just like hands and faces.
About a year ago, I was really nervous to go in and attempt renegotiating the terms of my contract. Because remember, this was about the time where it was still relatively recent that it was blowing up, which means that these agents were overworking. Technically, People Store covers the entire Southeast, but I noticed I was only receiving many Atlanta auditions. But I was like, they just don't have the time to poke around for lower pay, out-of-state jobs. And so I was really nervous that it made sense, but I was afraid that there was going to be some kind of ego, and I was going to accidentally imply, like, what are you saying? We haven't been working for you?
Right.
I say that you're working as hard as you can, and that's my point.
Yeah, and I totally understand
There was zero problem. I was like, I would love a Tennessee representative because
I'm glad
they were so happy to help. And then I even offered, like, I threw in a sweetener. I had like the full, I was legal ready, and I was ready to negotiate. So I was like, how about this? If I book anything in Tennessee, I understand that that's time that I might be missing auditions and or bookings through you. So I'm happy to send you 10% in addition to the 10% I'd be paying to my Tennessee agent for anything they book me.
At this point, you'd be losing money with your commutes and and commissions.
Well, and they denied it. They were like, it's fine. I was so impressed.
I'm glad that you were impressed, and I'm glad they were so cool with it. That's what I'm saying, is I've never seen them have any issue with other representation in any other ways. And I'm glad that you're able to go in there and personally talk to them. One thing that I'm hearing from, because I'm like part of the industry now, from meeting people, socializing in groups with other actors and different people from all across the board, different regions they're from and all that. And I hear these stories of people who are like afraid to even email their agents, afraid to even reach out to them. They're like, I don't want to bother them. You don't even go in there and talk to them on occasion, just...
and if you have a sensible request, like if you're not wasting anybody's time, they're happy to talk to you. But if they're not, here's the thing. So you might get some hard no's to things that would be totally unfair, so to speak, or bad business to get a hard no for. That means they're not the right agent for you. You know, you didn't fuck it up. You just learned something. That's what
I'm saying is I will be with them probably for forever. And then someone said to me at one point, like, no, business is business, you got to look out for you. And I'm like, yeah, but why would I leave an agency where I have a good standing with them and I feel like they're not like on the hunt for work for me specifically, but I know that they're all working their asses off for like everybody, and they're all a great team, and they're really, really nice people. And like, why would I leave that to go with a group of strangers who just know me because of like my resume? So it's like, I feel like I'm in a place where
it's not broken, don't fix it, essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like, even if I were to have an issue, I feel like I would sooner talk about it with them or like get it resolved versus be like, okay, I'm out of here. Yeah. I'm gonna change agencies, like, I quit. And it's like, that's just how you burn bridges. That's how you get a bad name. And I think a lot of work you can acquire is reputation based and word of mouth, and continuing to do a good job.
Well, and on the topic of negotiations, one of the best pieces of advice, and funny enough, I received this piece of advice from an agent that I probably shouldn't drop the name of in the same podcast, talking about that agency. They just don't like each other. There's history there. But this guy, we got lunch one day and we're just talking industry, and he's the one who taught me how to negotiate, which essentially is nothing like you would say on the perfect example you gave was Entourage. He's like, listen, my whole career I've built based off of essentially convincing people it was their idea, but also negotiation is finding a way that everybody's happy. So if you can find a way, and he gave some examples about, shows he called into, and, he wanted his actor to have like a higher, for example, he had an actor that he didn't want him to say co-star, he wanted to say guest star. And so his negotiation was to take a couple financial hits for that specific episode to ensure that this actor going forward had bigger credits that might bring in bigger work. So everybody kind of won. That network didn't care.
That is like agent work. That is to me what it means to be the agent. You're the one negotiating. Yeah. You're the one manipulating the terms in everyone's favor to where to where this will be the beneficial all around. Yeah. They're still getting what they want, but you're making it the best it possibly could be for me.
It's problem solving.
It's like a veteran type move, like a maneuver.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the agents in the market from like agencies that I know of, hear of, whether they're boutique, large, whatever, it's like a lot younger of a crowd. Like, I feel like, I'm pretty sure I know exactly who you mean. I don't think he's that old, but I think that there is a lacking of like older, more experienced people who've like been in the industry for a while within the agencies in town.
Yeah.
To like that's a negotiation skill that like most people wouldn't even consider. They're just like, okay, cool. How about this person? Go.
Yeah, I think it's just so easy to imagine trying to force someone to do something for you, because I think that's like the very inaccurately painted image of what like legal or an agent or some sort of negotiator does. And it's just, it looks good in movies, because if you were to actually show what a true negotiation looked like, it'd be boring as shit. It's just like, I have this idea that's like cool for us, and they say, yeah.
Right.
And you just won the lot. That was it. That was everything.
That would suit both our needs. No conflict.
It looks boring as shit on television, that you're not seeing that. But yeah, the best negotiations are you're problem solving for everyone.
I had a project that I was agenting, if you will, it was a print shoot. A print shoot for Hibbett Sports.
He's been masquerading as an American this whole time. He's actually
it's all out now, isn't it?
Surprise!
All right, here we go, love. Cheerio. Honey nut Cheerio. The jig is up. Oi. So anyways, it was a print shoot for Hibbett Sports. But they brought this kid in. He's done a lot of print work with the agency and all that. And the terms had been negotiated, and I gave them a whole breakdown of usage, what they were looking at for any type of desire, like wherever they were going to be distributing this, or their photo shoot that they were going to be doing. There was a specific number amount next to it.
I want everybody to know, I'm not cutting that. That's my phone. I'm so sorry. Actually, wait, I'm going to pick this up. You're going to be here for it.
Great.
Matthew Sprugman. Matt, so I'm currently recording a podcast. If y'all remember listening in, Matthew Spruckman's least favorite thing about modeling was hand models.
Yeah.
You'll never guess who I'm interviewing.
What?
Hello?
It sounds like a hand model.
I am a hand model.
My hand's better than your hand.
Oh, prove it. I bet you wouldn't shake on it. Oh, yeah.
Matt, I'm going to hang up on you now because I need to respect A-Rod's time and turn my sound off.
Hey, Matt, I respect you and your son.
Oh, yeah.
I respect you and your hand.
Okay, bro. Talk to you soon.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Lee, question for you. I don't know that there will be people listening in and saying, I want to be a hand model, but, there might.
Right.
Or curious to know, maybe I have beautiful hands. Maybe this is something I can make a little money off of. What would you suggest to people to getting into it? Because I'm sure it's hard to predict. Beauty is so subjective, especially with hands.
Right. Especially with modeling in general.
How do you? And I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the product that you're going to be handling as well. So beauty, on a sandwich, hand beauty on a sandwich would look different than hand beauty on a lawnmower.
Right.
So what would you suggest to people that want to get their names in the hat to start pursuing some hand modeling work?
Here's the deal. I don't know what they can do by any means. So I'm going to hope that you have 0 people who want to be a hand model listening right now, because I don't know what they can do aside from if they're already with an agency. Somehow fandangle their way into becoming a hand model by letting them know or reaching out to a hand modeling agency. And okay. Here is a good starting point. Do you have a friend with a good camera who takes good pictures? Because chances are you're incompetent because you're an everyday person. have that friend of yours take pictures of your hands with the fancy camera, because also it's important to have a friend, since it's hard to take a picture of your hands when your hands are on screen.
It really is.
I've used the timer, and actually it's turned out well. And part of the job that got me for the Rolex thing, one of my pictures was me holding a watch, like I was like setting it. Mm-hmm. So I had my phone set on the timer, and it was just like sunny outside, but not like, blown out photograph, just a high quality picture of my hand in like a natural pose, like left and right, front and back of my hands.
Yeah.
But also like holding something in a natural way that would also be good, like to kind of advertise that product. Mm-hmm. To where one of my photographs was a close up of me holding my watch, like I was setting a little time bezel on there. So yeah, it worked out. It's like getting headshots, but for your hands. Have a professional photographs of your hands before you're ready to submit them to people, so they can see.
Should you, if some dude like blows you up and says like, hey, pay me like $600 for like headshots of your hands, is that like a no-go? Like, should you be spending money on these?
No, not in the beginning. Not if you don't even know if your hands are going to go anywhere yet. I'm just saying, get at least a decent quality. Like, if you're trying to make it seem like you can do something in the industry, like make it seem like you're marketable, then you have to go ahead and market yourself, and you have to make your hand, like, paint the picture for them before you can, like, assume that they're going to be able to, like, imagine what you're imagining. Just go ahead and make it look the way that you want them to see it.
And against a solid background, I take it.
Yes, yeah. So it's just, like, nothing too crazy. You don't want to, like, an obnoxious, like I said, I just took it outside, so it's, like the faded asphalt was the background, but it was like kind of out of focus. It wasn't a big deal. Just a competent, high quality photograph to at least kind of get things started to have the observer see it if you're not there in person, at least.
All right, so I'm going to remind you all, in order, if you love people like A-Rod being on the show, you got to rate this podcast, because for whatever which reason, that is the only way iTunes assures that this is a sustainable. I've repeated this a million.
It's not going to hurt. Just give it a 5-star.
But remember, you're also putting yourself in the hat for the special episode lottery, meaning that I can either talk to you on the show or your friend that you would suggest to be on the show. I really want to speak to strangers.
I really want Dr. Phil on here.
Yeah. So if anyone who wants to throw Dr. Phil into the special episode lottery,
it'd be my pleasure.
Or if you'd like to see Dr. Phil on the show, rate this podcast.
I'd like to hear him. I'll tell you right now, I want to hear Dr. Phil. Why don't you just give it 5 stars? That's the problem. You need 5 stars to have a good rating. Dr. Phil's a genius.
All right, listen, I got 3 questions for you. I ask that dog, Joe, my God.
Can you ask that in the form of a question?
Yeah, so I have that dog question mark. The dog?
Steven, next question.
Okay, I have 3 questions that I ask everyone at the end of the podcast. First question, what's your favorite thing about, and in your case I will ask, hand modeling?
I don't know. I guess the work opportunities, the paychecks, just being on a set at all is really awesome to me. So that's why I don't even care what aspect I'm working. That's why I don't really consider myself specifically a hand model, although that's all I really did as of recently. I'm just glad to be a part of it. Like I said, just help tell the story of whatever's going on and just do my part to make sure everyone's job is easier. And it's just really fun to be working at all, especially within that aspect of things.
Yeah, I feel you on that. My second question, of course, would be, what's your least favorite thing about being a hand model?
Honestly, is trying to keep my hands, safe and maintained. Like I said, I'm a pretty clumsy person, and I still skateboard all the time and do, outdoor activity type things.
He's very athletic.
Thanks.
You are.
But yeah, so it's like I get more nervous before hand modeling shoots than other types of commercial shoots, because it'll be specific on my hands, and at that moment I'm like, okay, just be careful, because I am pretty damn clumsy, and on a day-to-day basis I'm scratching or whatever. Like if I pet a cat and then the cat bites my hand, I'm like, oh, it kind of hurt, but it's cute, who cares? And I look and it's like, oh, I'm kind of thrashed now, like what the hell do I do?
Yeah.
So I think the nervousness pre-shoot is what always freaks me out.
Dude, I'm the same way. I let the dog just gnaw on my hands when it gets bored.
So
and I'm like, he's so cute. So long as no skin breaks.
Because it's so cute. Right.
But you're right, but if I were a hand model, it would be like, ah!
Yeah,
oh my God.
Like, shit, all right. Just I kind of freak out, and especially the night before, because it's like, what can we do if I get like a bruise or a burn or a scratch, and I guess just touch it up or
Now you got your
in
makeup,
a different way. But I've never had, knock on wood, a situation before the shoot. I have had some things before actual bookings, and it's like you can see the scratch on my hand if you're looking for a recent photo, because typically it's the photos that we already had on file were like their go-to photos.
Yeah.
But there have been some more that come through executing a specific action, do this or hold this a certain way. And again, when they are requesting those photos, I try to make sure the lighting is excellent, try to make sure it looks as professional as possible, as commercial as possible, since that's what they're going to be ultimately using it for.
Mm-hmm. My final question, and I always respond to this as well. It does not have to be modeling related. It can be anything. What's just like something kind of cool you'd like to bring up? It can be, there's no pressure. It's not like the coolest thing that happened to you this week. Like, no. It's just like kind of cool that you either like maybe you saw something on YouTube or you learned, about a new bar or you learned how to slick your hair back in a new way. I don't know.
I don't really have much to say, but if you vote for me, all of your wildest dreams will come true. Thank you.
That's kind of cool. Alright.
No, I'm just, I'm going to see a movie tonight.
A movie?
Turner Classic movie.
With Dr. Phil.
I'm going to see a movie. Yeah, Ben-Hur is playing at the local theater, and I haven't seen that movie or that film since, 8th grade Latin class. And I don't remember liking it, and I think it took 3 or 4 classes for us to complete the entirety of it. So I can't wait to be sitting in a movie theater watching this old school movie. The only thing I remember is him being shackled in a rowboat with ramming speed drums playing, and that's all I can recall.
That's like the perfect kind of cool. Like right in that middle range there, yeah.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
on one hand, it's delightful you're treating yourself to a movie, but on the other hand, it might not be very good.
Yeah,
so it's
medium.
kind of cool, yeah.
Well, Turner Classic Movies apparently does this like each month, where they play an old school movie at one day of the month, and it's like at local theaters or whatever the hell. So last month was To Kill a Mockingbird, and I didn't know what it meant. I saw the commercials for it. It's like, watch To Kill a Mockingbird in select theaters. I'm like, I'm not going to fly to LA to see the movie, whatever. And then my best friend's girlfriend went with some of her friends to go see the local movie. I was like, wait, I actually missed To Kill a Mockingbird in theaters. I could have gone. And it's actually right down the street. Okay, so I looked up this month is Ben-Hur, and I'm like, 2 days after my birthday, treat myself to a potentially boring film.
I downloaded this app. I actually caught up with an old agent of mine that he used to work with, who no longer works there anymore. I caught up with Jessie. And she was telling me, we were just kind of catching up on life, etc. And she said, I highly recommend, because she loves horoscopes. Her whole sorority in college, that was like their thing. And like, I think horoscopes are fun.
Hashtag Aries.
Yeah, Aries.
Aries.
The cool thing is, she sent me this app called CoStar, and it breaks down your chart like crazy to the point where I was like, this is nuts. How am I gonna? And all of a sudden I was like in it, because it's like, when at the end of the day,
way too much. Got it.
Yeah, like, but I think at the end of the day, like, what's cool is I don't know that I believe in it, but I think it's raising awareness to things during the day to either think about or look out for that I wouldn't be thinking about otherwise. But like, even if it's BS, the fact that it can like try to justify itself somehow, I think helps, because there's that little piece of your brain that says, well, maybe. I think it even heightens your awareness more.
Oh, okay, right. Absolutely.
So that's been fun.
I'm pretty sure that I'm Sun and Moon Aries.
Oh, Aries, double Aries.
Yeah.
I wonder what your rising sign would be.
Probably Aries.
I'm gonna.
There's anything I know about us, it's that we care about us, and I didn't really listen after that because it wasn't about me. They like to fight, and they're sexual gods. And I stopped reading after that because it was about other people's signs.
Well, I was gonna say too, I don't think you like to fight.
No. That's how I was like, well, this is, half right. Okay, what we say here on...
As Dr. Phil will say it.
You walk the walk, we talk the talk. So you gotta listen.
Gotta rate the podcast.
You gotta give us a 5-star, because if you don't, then you didn't.
That was the obscenely talented Indy Rodriguez. Just throw hand modeling onto his absurd list of special skills. Coming up next, you guys, we got her. Haley Goldman's mom. Susan Goldman.
And I just detested going into the room and listening to other parents talk, or even when Haley was at acting class, sitting around the waiting room with other parents, because they love to boast and say, we're doing this and my child got that. And it was push, push, push for them. And I got to the point where I would sit in the car so I wouldn't have to listen to everybody else talk about their child.
We are getting the unique perspective of a quote-unquote stage mom. So any parents out there who are wondering how the heck to do this, or anyone maybe even my age, young adults, teenagers, kids, wondering, well, how can I convince my parents to understand, show me some support? This is the podcast for you. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe, rate the podcast. Thank you so much. And you walk the walk. We'll keep talking that talk.